You assume intent without direct evidence. The moment you decide what something meant, it usually starts small. A short reply, a delayed response, a tone that feels slightly different. And almost immediately you decide what it means. Not consciously, not slowly, just automatically. You read into it, you fill in the gap. And somehow the interpretation starts to feel like the actual truth. Why your brain does not like uncertainty? The brain is not comfortable with incomplete information. When something is unclear, it tries to resolve it quickly. It builds a story that makes the situation feel complete. The goal is not accuracy. The goal is certainty. Even if the conclusion is wrong, it still feels better than not knowing. How past experiences shape your assumptions. Most of the meanings you assign are not coming from the present moment alone. They come from past experiences. If something feels familiar, your brain uses previous patterns to explain it. So a simple situation can take on a meaning that has nothing to do with what is actually happening now. Why negative interpretations happen faster? There is also a tendency to assume something negative first. If a message is unclear, it often feels easier to think something is wrong rather than neutral. This happens because the brain is designed to notice potential problems quickly. But in everyday situations, that instinct can create unnecessary tension, a situation that feels familiar. I've seen this happen in small ways. A teacher gives brief feedback and it feels harsher than it probably is. A friend does not respond quickly, and it starts to feel intentional. Nothing has been clearly stated, but the interpretation builds anyway. And once it is there, it starts to affect how you respond. The problem with acting on assumptions. When you act on an assumed intention, you're reacting to something that may not exist. That reaction can change your behavior, your tone, and even your relationships. It creates a chain of responses based on something that was never confirmed. What changes when you pause? If you pause for even a moment, the situation can shift. Instead of locking into one explanation, you allow for other possibilities. Maybe the message was rushed. Maybe the person was distracted. Maybe there is no deeper meaning at all. That pause creates space between the event and your reaction. Why this matters more than it seems. This pattern shows up often, not just in communication, but in how you interpret situations in general. The more automatic the assumption, the less accurate it tends to be. Learning to question that first interpretation can change how you respond and how situations develop. Final thoughts. You do not always have access to other people's intentions, but your brain will try to create them anyway. That process is fast and convincing, but not always correct. And once you start noticing how often you assume intent without evidence, it becomes easier to step back and see what is actually there. Thanks for watching.